So let's start at the beginning. Grew up in a pretty rough family. Mm-hmm. Childhood was rough.
Yeah.
Take me back to that time.
My mother drank a lot. Yeah. And not for the first while of my life. She was actually, all right. And I didn't have, I wasn't without things. I always had stuff provided for me, except for the essentials, which are more about love and the nurturing that, I was a young woman. I needed more, right? And so, alcohol took her away from me quite often. And later in life, I found out she was more into drugs too. But honestly, she did the best she could with what she had, but it wasn't fun. Lots of violence. Yeah. Witnessed a lot of things I probably shouldn't have, right?
School almost was a retreat for you.
Yeah,
you were a good
school
student
was.
and you just went to school because it was a safe place.
100%. Yeah. I loved school, and it was my escape. I did really good in school. Yeah. I did really well in school. Yeah.
And then you say you discovered boys.
Hey.
And things changed.
Yeah, I sought an escape. As soon as a boy showed any kind of affectionate interest, I took that intimacy and ran with it. And I had my first baby when I was 15. Yeah. By the time she was 5 months old, she was apprehended and put into my mother's care. I was young and I had no idea what I was doing. I never left her alone. I didn't neglect her or anything, but I probably could have been a better mom. Yeah. If that makes sense, but I wasn't parented.
You're 15.
I wasn't parented well either. So when you're not parented well, you kind of grab onto those parenting skills and you keep going, right? And you know what? I went and I did what I had to do. And my mom helped me take care of her. My mom had her until she was 11 full time, pretty much.
When did drugs enter the picture, Kristi?
Right after she was probably 3 months old when I found cocaine for the first time. There's a point where we look for something.
Yeah.
To either numb our pain, or we don't even know that it's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And I found it, and it
numbed the pain.
Numbed it all. It was almost like it turned me into a robot.
So, Kristi, you're going through all of this in your life, and how are you feeling about who you are at that moment?
Shame, lots of guilt, lots of uncertainty and confusion, right? Who am I? Where am I going? Why is this happening? Why is this continuing to go on? And where is this? Does this ever end? And I saw my friends had a different life. My friends had mom and dad that were together. They didn't have that violence factor, no alcohol abuse, and things like that. Just, I was jealous. I had a lot of jealousy issues going into that. Watching friends from school, high school, what is this? This is not normal. Yeah. My normal is this. So what is this? So I had a curiosity as well. So I had so many emotions going on and thoughts and ideas, and I didn't know what was up from down. I had no idea. Yeah.
And then you had a third baby.
Yep. I gave him up for adoption. So I had 3 kids before I turned 20. I knew what it was like to have a baby and the gift of being a parent. And so I thought, well, okay, it's too late to have an abortion, and I didn't want to do that anyway because it just didn't sit well with me to do that. So I gave birth to him, and I named him Michael, and I found a family to adopt him, and they did not have children. They had a huge family though. So he's 23. He'll be 23 in October. I haven't met him yet, and I'm okay with that, right? Because he's got a good life.
So cocaine started around 15. What other drugs did you end up getting into?
When my father died, you
were just getting to know your dad.
Yeah, I met him when I was 16, and he died when I was 24. So I really didn't have time with him either. But he came into my life at the right time. So I think that's part of where the drugs kind of dwindled out. I still drank or whatever, but I wasn't really into booze as much as I was drugs, right? When I was 24, I found cocaine again. Yeah. And then it just escalated from there. I was put on methadone for pain management when I was 29 because I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Methadone did for me what I could not do for myself. I got out of bed, I functioned, I graduated from college, I graduated 4.0. Very smart, but completely oblivious to the behaviors I had that were causing me more pain, right? And things I allowed and no boundaries. And, after that, I had met crack, cocaine, and after that I met heroin, I met Dilaudid, I met Percocet, and by the time I was 36, I met the IV drug use.
Homeless at points,
Oh, homelessness was
selling
like,
yourself on the street to
Yeah.
just make ends meet.
yeah, I posted ads on Craigslist and Backpage and all kinds of crazy places to make money to feed my demons, really. And the demons were grief, loss, fear, insecurity, self-worth was nothing. I had none. I had no self-worth.
And then, to make things worse, your son then dies.
Yeah. My son died 3 years ago. Yep.
What
And
happened?
it was an unjust death, for sure. He was 20 years old, and he found crystal meth when he was 18. And lifestyle choices, right? He became a thief, which is nothing I taught him to be. And his choices got him to his death. So
Your life just is crumbling.
it has been crumbling from the day I was born. Honestly, that's how it feels some days. And when I look back over the last couple of years, one of the questions that was asked to me in the last 3 days is, what is Jesus to you? And the only answer I could come up with was love and light. Because not until my darkest hour did I find out where I had power.
Was your darkest hour when you found out your son
Yeah.
had passed?
And for the 4 months after that, I tried to commit suicide multiple times by fentanyl IV drug use. And people around me were dying from doing half the amount I was doing, and I was still waking up, and I didn't understand. I was angry, vile, very vile. And, my mom would say to me, well, you're going to end up dead. I'm going to come in and you're going to be dead one day. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the plan. Don't you know? I want to go be with my boy. I know he's in a better place and I want to go be with him because this is crap.
But you're here
Yep.
because something inside of you
Yep.
screamed out for help.
We all have this spirit inside of us that speaks. Call it intuition, call it the Holy Spirit, call it what you will. Sometimes I think it was my son whispering in my ear, but something came out of that, and I actually put up boundaries, and I said, I'm not going to the needle exchange anymore, so don't take me there. I stopped using needles, I stopped using heroin, and I was on methadone, got onto Suboxone, quit using crystal meth too, and I had 2 shots of Fireball on New Year's Eve 2017. Yeah, so my sobriety date is January 1st, 2018.
Wow.
And
why did you make that decision, Kristi? What had you had enough? What was the turning point?
lots of chaos and pain.
Yeah.
The darkest places that we can go, there's only 2 choices. You either let it keep taking you till you're dead, or you can find a way out. And I had been in and out of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous multiple times, so I knew there was a better way. I have the Serenity Prayer tattooed on my arm, actually, and the symbol for Alcoholics Anonymous right here, and the initials for Thy Will Not Mine Be Done right on my wrist. So there's spirit, and the spirit around me was like, you are better than this. There's something better for you. You cannot die here. You can't die here. Your son would not want that for you. And all my son ever wanted was for me to be sober. And he got what he wanted, one way or the other. And when I was a couple months sober, I actually had a flood of emotion come, and I went to church, and this is like another moment that I probably overlooked in the last couple of years. Is like I went to church, and there was lots of talk about different struggles in life. It was based on like a recovery-based thing for people in addiction who get sober and find God. And I cried so hard about my son that night. And I had a few people pray over me, and I prayed with them, and I cried, and I was like, hey, I really need help, because if I don't get some help soon, I'm going to die. I'm going to get loaded again, and I did not want to. I think it was just, when you're done, you're done. Like when you're done, when you're done with chaos and hurting yourself, you get to a place where you feel you're done. And I felt really done. And I prayed and cried out for the help I wanted and needed. Yeah. And I'm not kidding you, the next, I think it was about 4 or 5 days later, I went for a nap at 2 p.m, and I woke up to people visiting my roommate, and they were 2 people from AA that I had known for a really long time. Wow. And they gave me a set of simple instructions. They brought some spirit back into my life, and I listened. I didn't argue anymore. I said, like, I surrender, and in war, when someone raises a white flag, they wait for direction. So I was at war with myself.
It's been about 2 years now?
2 years is January 1st, yeah. So in the
What is life like now, Kristi?
I can tell you that my son's death was the very foundation that I rebuilt myself on. And I don't undermine the power of the universe and God in it. I went into a recovery house called Vision Quest, and that's where I met Carol, and I did the programs they set in front of me. I did life skills, anger management, better with boundaries, relapse prevention. I did the 12 steps in order. Lots of written work, lots of emotional stuff. I dug really deep on who I am and tried to process what I was being told and where to put it in my life. And I left there with 5 months sobriety. And I ended up getting a job working as a support worker on the downtown east side with women in compromised living situations, still in active addiction, and got to be the voice and love them compassionately. Yeah, I call them the women I serve because I do serve them. And I'm very passionate about helping save lives.
So, Kristi, when you go down to the downtown east side, when you're talking to women who are in the lifestyle still and say, I can't get out, I can't leave, what do you tell them?
If I can do it, you can too. My life and the things I've endured and overcome, right? And healing is an ongoing, not optional thing in my life. I don't make it optional anymore. It's a must, or I won't go forward. So I show up that way. I show up with empathy and compassion, love, tolerance, equality. I share my story on a regular basis, because just when someone thinks, oh, poor me, and I can't get through this, it's like, actually, here's the story for you. Yeah. And then they look at me and go, I don't know how you do it. It's called having faith. Yeah. Doing the next right thing, even when you don't know how. Because we don't think ourselves into right behavior. We behave ourselves into right thinking and feeling. So the thoughts and feelings match up, and then your behavior gets congruent. And it's taken me 40 years to figure that out, and
we're here to tell the story today.
But for the grace of a loving God, where would I be?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kristi.
Well, thank you.